Hello everyone, my name is Mr. Williams. I am the principal at Windsor Middle School. We are going to attempt to do our first virtual assembly. The way that this is going to work is that I'm going to do a brief introduction, and then I am going to show you a video that was made by some of our 8th grade students, which will kind of give a brief tour of the school. And then I will go back to the webcam where I will answer your questions in the chat. And then I also have a list of questions that you had submitted earlier when we sent out our survey. Bear with us. This is my first time trying to use YouTube Live, and it's our first time trying to do a virtual assembly. So I'll be looking at the chat from time to time to see if I'm screwing things up. All right, so let's go ahead and transition to our introduction video.
Middle School. We're happy to have you here and we're excited to show you around. We're going to walk you around the school so when it's time to start the new school year, you'll know where to go. As you can see on this map, which you can get in the front office or check out on Google Earth, the school has classrooms surrounding the NPR and the library, all around here. Now, each section has a different letter in front of the room number, so you might have math in the H wing, H107, culinary in K114, or music in F101. Whatever your schedule is like, you'll get the hang.
The first few days of school, you'll get an ID card. This will probably be a temporary paperwork. Once you get your school pictures taken, you'll get a permanent one that looks like this. You'll need to know your ID number to get your textbooks, so don't lose it. Each morning, you'll get to school, and if you come through the front gates, you can get your card scanned by Mr. Williams and earn points to use in the student store. If you're late, you'll need to sign in at the front desk in the office.
Hi, I'm Neo. Let's head in. Right behind us is the MPR. This multi-purpose room is the cafeteria. It has a stage for performances, and it's used for PE classes. For lunch, we'll go through the other side. We'll show you that when we walk by. Remember when I said that all classrooms have a letter in front of the number? They're laid out in a counterclockwise direction. So if you go to the right, you'll be in the D wing. E and F are at the end. On the back side, behind the NPR and library, closest to the field, you'll find the H and K wings.
This is the teacher's lounge, and this is the main office. In the main office, hopefully, there are many things that you can do. You can pick up athletic packets if you're hoping to join a sports team, pick up stuff you've dropped off, or get picked up if you're feeling sick. Or, if you are feeling sick, stop by the nurse. If you get hurt, need a Band-Aid, personal products, or have medicine that you need to take, only with a doctor's note, then stop by the nurse. Both the principal and assistant principal offices are also located at the edge of the office. Over here is the student store with bulletins advertising school sports, drama, and just many events that are happening around our school. The student store is where you can pick up many spirit items and cash in your student points for prizes.
This is the outdoor stage. We've had music events and rallies out here. And this is the mound. Us students like to hang out here during lunch. And right here is the gym. 6th graders have PE in their regular class, but 7th and 8th graders must dress out in a school shirt that their PE teacher gives you, along with the black shorts, sweats, or leggings, with no pockets. Here are the locker rooms.
This is the K wing. That way is the gym, and that way is the field. Here's one of our music rooms. This one is for band. Just in front of it is the Culinary Center. It was built just before the 2019 school year, so it's still really new. This is the area where most 6th graders will have their math, science, and language art classes. If you want to help with yearbook, that's usually in this area too. Some of your teachers may also be in the H wing, which is just ahead. Before we get there, let's take a little detour down to the NPR from here. Anywhere you find stairs, there will also be a ramp, making it accessible to everyone. This is where you'll enter the NPR for break and lunch. This is the back entrance to the NPR. Right next to it is the library. This is the C building. It's easy to remember where the counselors are. Inside is also where the makerspace should be. You should check it out. Let's head back to where we left off.
This is the H wing. Back there is the K wing, and over there are the bathrooms. In this area, we also have the NCCS classroom and the PE workout rooms over there. Ahead to the right is the E wing, and beyond it is the culinary garden.
Come on, let's go check out the D wing. This is the D wing. This is where most of the 8th grade classrooms are. Here are 2 restrooms, and here are 2 of our science classrooms. In 8th grade, you get to design your very own roller coaster. In this area, you have a water bottle filling station. And if you look here, this is where the library is. Remember, it's in the middle of the school. Now come on, let's go head back where we started, in the front of the gates.
You have to check out the school website for the student handbook. All you have to do is click on the menu, and then you'll see the student handbook for more dress code details and great info.
Don't forget to get yourself a sturdy backpack to hold all your things, and don't forget to bring your refillable water bottle.
Make sure to follow WMS on Instagram and Facebook. And we hope you have a great time here at Windsor Middle School.
All right, a big thank you to 3 of our 8th graders. That was Zoe and Livia and Miel, who put that video together for us. They wrote, direct, filmed, and got it all ready for us. So thank you very much to you guys. So the way this works is I'm looking down in the chat, and so I can say hello Isabel, and hello Heaven, and hello Talon. And I can see that Mrs. Lands, our culinary teacher, is in the chat as well, and she would like all of you to know that culinary is so fun. So hello, you guys. So the information that I'm going to give you tonight, I'm going to give a little caveat to say that I am 95% sure this is the way it's going to work. Because normally we would have had all of this stuff ironed out, but there's a little thing called a global pandemic that happened, and so we're a little bit behind our negotiations. So I can give you kind of the vision, and I'm pretty sure this is all going to work out this way, but if when school starts, there might be some slight changes. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to create kind of the best of an elementary setting and the best of a secondary setting and combine them together and then make that experience for your 6th graders. So what we did is we took 2 teachers per house. So you have one teacher who's going to be a math science teacher. You have the other teacher who's going to do language arts and social studies, and together they're going to share 60 students. So house, think Hogwarts, think Harry Potter. So that's the house, that's the group of those 60 students, and they're going to be doing a lot of their activities together. And so with that house, we have 4 different groups of those sets of 60 students. And so each of them will have their homeroom teachers, and that's who's going to be responsible for them. So in addition to having their 2 core teachers, which will form their house, they will also have a PE teacher who's going to be Mr. Whitney, And Mr. Whitney, you're going to get to meet Mr. Whitney next Monday when I put out another video. I'm going to start a video series just for incoming sixth graders. So he'll be our first interview. You'll get to meet Mr. Whitney, and he'll be your child's PE teacher. He's the only PE teacher for the sixth grade, so he'll see every kid. So you'll have your two core teachers, you'll have your PE teacher, and then you will have your electives. Now, we had sent the sheet home a couple months ago, seems like years ago now. We had sent a sheet home kind of getting an idea of what your child was interested in. Now, a change has happened since then. We've had a change in our staffing, and our strings teacher has moved up to the high school. So for next year, we will not have a beginning strings class. We plan to have a beginning strings class the following year, so that's when your child is in 7th grade, but the only music offering that we'll be offering in 6th grade is band, and we'll have 2 sections of band taught by Mr. Mitchell. We'll also have a section of chorus, which is choir, taught by Mrs. Cullen, and then Mrs. Cullen will also be doing a section of drama, so if you're interested in acting or learning how to put on a play. So that's the year, those are the full electives. So band is a full year long, choir is a full year long, and then drama is a semester long. So what are you doing when you're not in one of those classes? Well, you're participating in a series of rotation electives. Now, sometimes those electives might be a support class. Sometimes they might be art, sometimes they might be engineering. The teachers are going to be changing it up throughout the year. They might be 2 weeks, they might be 3 weeks, they might be a month, they might be a quarter, depending on what's going on with the teacher, but we're going to have a lot of different offerings. So the idea is to expose the 6th graders to as many different electives possible, so that way when they're choosing their electives as a 7th or 8th grader, they really understand what we have to offer. Now, what I need you guys to do in the chat right now, because I know that Mrs. Land's in there, is to say is we need a 6th grade culinary club, and encourage her right now to let those 6th graders do a little bit of cooking, since the kitchen is right in their wing. Because what we did is I moved all the 6th grade teachers into one area. They're all in that K wing, which is the same place as the music room. It's the same place that has the kitchen. It's by the basketball courts and the softball field. So all of the 6th grade classes are going to be in that one wing. So when they're moving classes, it'll be leaving out of one door and going into another. All of the 6th grade classes, with the exception of choir, which will have some 7th and 8th grade choir students who have done choir before to be in there to help. Those classes are 6th grade only. So we're really looking at this school within a school model for the 6th graders. Their lunchtime is completely separate than the 7th and 8th graders, and we're looking to stagger that break time as well. So 6th grade will be very isolated in that they'll be around their 6th grade peers, and then we're going to help transition them into 7th and 8th grade. So 6th grade first semester will look very much like an extension of elementary and 5th grade. 6th grade second semester will look a lot more like junior high, middle school, and we'll start helping them build that bridge. So we're trying to get the best of both worlds, and also kind of give them a sense of safety and a bridge as they transition into middle school and then on to high school. All right, I see that you have convinced Mrs. Lands that she is going to open up and let those 6th graders get in there and get in and do some of that cooking. I know she brought you guys over when you were 5th graders, and as I attend some of these meetings, I know that really made an impact on the kids. So I'm glad to see that we were able to get Mrs. Lands to agree to that. No pressure. Another big change that we're doing as part of that school within a school model is that 6th grade is going to be on a different bell schedule than 7 and 8. So all classes next year are going to start at 8:35. So that's 5 minutes earlier than what they did before. And 7th and 8th grade is going to get out a little bit later at 3:30 on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. And the reason we're doing that is because we want to have a shortened day on both Wednesday and Friday. Because when you're doing that 7-8 schedule, okay, here, this is complicated, but here we go. When they're doing the 7th and 8th grade schedule, on Monday, they do all of their classes. So they have 7 classes. Tuesday, they do 4 classes. They're odd number classes, 1, 3, 5, and 7. Wednesday, they do their even number classes. They have 3 of them, 2, 4, and 6. Thursday, the odd numbers, 1, 3, 5, and 7. Friday, their even numbers, 2, 4, and 6. So that's a block schedule. It goes all classes, 4, 3, 4, 3. That way we get them out early on Wednesdays and Fridays. Now, 6th grade, because they're going to be in that semi-self-contained model with those 2 teachers, they are going to be starting school at 8:35, and they're actually going to get out at 3 o'clock. And what we've done is we've cut those flex minutes that 7th and 8th grade get. That's the time where they can get that targeted instruction, retake tests, any missing assignments. The 7th and 8th graders, they'll be using that extra time. 6th graders, we're just cutting the days shorter. If you want to, you can go home, but we will then be providing also an after-school program from 3 to 3:30 for any 6th graders who want additional homework support, need to wait for the bus, are going to participate in sports, are going to participate in clubs, or anything like that. So they'll be doing it from 3 to 3:30 every day, except for Wednesdays. The buses come at 2:15, and on Fridays we get it at 2:15, and we will be having that after-school club all the way until 3:30 when the buses get there. So that's just an option that you have. I see there's a question about sports. So yes, there is a 6th grade team for basketball. The sports that we have are girls volleyball. We would have boys volleyball if we could get enough enough boys to try out for the team. But it's girls volleyball, wrestling, flag football, track, cross country, and then basketball. And so on basketball, we have, and volleyball, we have 2 different levels. One is you have to try out. There's only a certain number of kids on the team, and some of them will get cut. The other league is no cut. Everybody who tries out gets on the team. Everybody plays. So most of the time, 6th graders are playing on that lower level league, and you're around players of your similar ability. So yes, 6th grade does have both boys and girls basketball. Let's see, lots of questions about basketball. And okay, so sports, if you're thinking about doing a fall sport, I can't honestly say that I know what's going to happen in fall because of everything that's going to go with everything that's going on. But what I can say is if everything kind of gets back to normal and it looks like we are going to have fall sports, if you get a sports physical after July 1st, it's good for the entire year. So any physical that you get, sports physical after July 1st, you've got it taken care of, and it doesn't matter if you're in a fall, a winter, or a spring sport. Our athletic director's name is Mrs. Tappe, T-A-P-P-E. She's also one of the 7th and 8th grade PE teachers. Okay, so we had a question. Will there be different focuses for the Core's Honors Gate like there is in high school? So the core group of teachers, there will be one section where we're preparing kids to go into that honors math level in 7th and 8th grade. So one of the progressions that you can do at Windsor Middle School is you can end up taking 9th grade math in your 8th grade year. That course is called Integrated 1. And so what that allows you to do is be able to go into Integrated 2, which is 10th grade math, your 9th grade year in high school, and then Integrated 3, and then start taking some of those other classes like pre-calc, trig, and calculus. So we will have some kind of progression taught by Mr. Daniel, most likely. Mr. Shebest has taken a position in a different city. He's moving away, so we don't know yet who's going to replace him. So probably Mr. Daniel will be taking on a hiring group, and getting them a higher in math group, and getting them ready to be into 7th grade honors level math, and then eventually 8th grade integrated 1. Let's see. The summer volleyball camp, once again, that's all up in the air on what's going to happen with the state. We don't know what's going to happen with that. We're still planning on having 6th grade camp. We're looking at actually having the 7th graders go to 6th grade camp because they missed their opportunity in fall, and then taking another group in the spring of the 6th graders. So they that's their big event that they have. Another big event that they do is the hot air balloons. If you check out our Facebook page, you can see that they actually construct the hot air balloons and then fill them up and send them out into the neighborhood. I see a question about how do they know if they got in the honors classes. The beauty of having the self-contained classes at the start is that we can move kids around once we get going, because with losing the last quarter of school, everyone's kind of all over the place. So we want to have an opportunity to assess and then put people in the right group. So you're going to be able to look around the campus closer to 6th grade. So the plan is that if everything's back to normal and we're going to open school, I'm actually going to have 6th grade back to school night. Normally it's in the first couple of weeks of school. I'm actually going to have the teachers do it before school starts, just for 6th graders. So that way you'll be able to come in, meet your teachers, see your classrooms. We'll do the full tours. We'll try to do a real assembly, depending on what size groups they'll let us gather in. And so that is the plan if they let us go ahead and open in a regular start. What date does 6th grade camp start? Typically we do 6th grade camp late, like April, May, in that area, because we want to miss the rain as much as possible. And 6th graders need to take a placement test. All 6th graders will have their iReady scores from February, and then they'll be taking the iReady test again when we start in August, and so that counts as the placement test. And then, of course, the teachers will also be doing their own assessments. So it's if you especially if you have an older child and it's like, oh, I've got to get in that class, at the beginning of the year, because if they have to change classes, that ends up changing their entire schedule and they might lose their elective. That's not the way this is going to work, because they're core together in a semi-elementary setting. It's very easy to change where they go throughout the day. It doesn't impact the electives. All of the electives happen at the same time every day, and so that will not impact them. Can advanced strings be taken if they know how to play already? Unfortunately, the advanced strings class won't be the same time as the electives, because that's when, because Mr. Mitchell is going to be our only band and strings teacher. That's the time that he's teaching both sections of band, but you certainly can skip right ahead to advanced strings in your 7th grade year. Question is, what supplies do we need to buy? That's in the handbook, and I can go over that in one of our later videos. We are following kind of the Avid model for supplies. So it's your basic binder, paper, dividers, just the things that highlighters, pens, pencils, pencil pouches, things to keep you organized. We also have those supplies available that they can be purchased with their points, and I'll quickly go over how the points work. We have a program at Windsor Middle School called Dean's List, and the way Dean's List works is a lot of teachers will have it up on their board, and they'll have the ability to give positive points to the students who are on time, on task, showing perseverance, leadership, teamwork, all of the things that we're trying to encourage. The teachers are giving points for them, and they can keep those points throughout the day. Now, if there's behaviors that the teachers need to discourage, like getting out of your seat excessively, talking out of turn, disrupting others, the teachers can take away points. They definitely shouldn't be putting that on the big screen. But so you get positive points, maybe you're getting some negative points, and at the end of the day, your whole goal is to have greater than 0 points. So any student that's in the negative, I go ahead and I send an email to you directly saying that your student ended the day negative. Please go over their behavior with them. If that's all that happens is you end the day negative, and your next day you're fine, then we move on. If you're negative 2 times in 1 week, then we do assign an after school detention. And those are they're going to be on Friday next year. So it'll be from 2:15 to 3:30. So I really encourage students to not get 2 days of negative behavior in 1 week. So the positive points, those all get deposited into a bank account, and then you can take those points and buy things in the student store. So we've got swag, especially once we get all of our final branding done. If you haven't heard, the entire district is becoming the Jaguars. We're all going black and gold. So we'll have school swag that'll be in the student store. We have school supplies, and then we also, you can buy your dance tickets in there. 6th graders can go to all the dances except for the Valentine's Day dance. But like what we did last year was we brought in a game truck on the same night as the Valentine's Day, and a lot of kids enjoyed that as well. So they could play video games and instead of going and watching the 7th and 8th graders be gross. The student store is the student store always open? It's typically open at lunchtime, a couple days a week. Mrs. Bryant, formerly Mrs. Alvarez, has taken over as our leadership person, and she is going to be the one who's running the store. So I'll let her set the schedule of when that's going to go. And then oftentimes we want to run the store with students run the store. So it's making sure that we have students available and they're trained. Are there leadership opportunities for 6th graders? Yes. So the leadership club is going to be happening not every Friday, but many Fridays. That's from that 2:15 to 3:30 time. And then if we have a dance that night, then they would stay and help set up. So 6th grade can definitely participate in the leadership opportunities, and then when they're 7th and 8th graders, they can look to either be in charge of the dances or in charge of publicity, or when they're in 8th grade, they can run for being an officer. Do we get more than one chance if we don't make it into the honors class? Absolutely. If you don't get in as a 6th grader, then you can try again as a 7th, try again as an 8th. We're always filling the classes with as many kids that we have that it's appropriate for them to get into. When would the culinary class be 0 period after school? One of the benefits of having this elementary model and having that core group of 60 kids is that they can just, Mrs. Lands can say, I'm taking this house and we're doing a culinary activity at this time, and then the teachers just rearrange their schedule around it because they have the kids all day. So it's really easy to give kids those fun, enriching activities throughout the day because we're not locked in by that period where if you give it to your first period class, you have to give it to your second, you have to give it to your third. How many sports can you play? Typically, you play one per season. So there's 3 seasons, so that would be 3 sports. So you could play basketball, wrestling, and then do track, or flag football, cross country, and track. Jackson Gaming says there's a dance. Yes, Jackson, we bring in DJ Dax's company, and they do a really good job for us. Let's see. Are strings instruments going to be taught at all? Yeah, beginning 7th grade. We got to give Mr. Mitchell 1 year to. We got to give Mr. Mitchell 1 year to get used to teaching strings, and then he will go ahead and start up with beginning strings. Sarah Alvarez, who's our leadership teacher, she has texted me saying, tell them to join the leadership Google Classroom. You can do that now. Get ready. I'll type it in the chat. So it's WKNJ. This is not typing anything. WKNJF6. All right. So I went ahead and put in this is the Google Classroom code. So your fifth graders right now, if they want to start getting some information on leadership, can go ahead and join that Google Classroom class and get and start figuring out what they're doing. Are we now on a loop? I don't know what loop means. All right. So what date does sixth grade camp start? I answered that one. So some of the other questions that we got from the survey is how do you deal with bullying? So I know that there's an issue with when you're at an elementary school, there's really the one principal and then some yard duties. Well, when you run a middle school, you have the principal, the assistant principal, 2 student advisors, you have the social emotional counselor, you have the guidance counselor. There's a whole team that can really help support your child. We do have cameras everywhere. So that's one thing that works as a deterrent. But the other thing is we do a program called Safe School Ambassadors, and that's put on by our social emotional counselor, Paolo Breschi. And so that trains students how to intervene if they see kind of bullying behavior happening. And then, of course, during lunchtime, I'm out. My assistant principal, Mrs. Ballard, is out. And then the student advisors as well as the yard duties are out as well. You just do, if you report it, the promise that I make to parents is if your child reports something, we're going to notify you within 24 hours and we're going to do a full investigation. We have a big restorative practice at our school. It's always voluntary, and restorative practice could just be putting down the 2 parties that are having an argument together and then having a conversation about the harm that's being done. Now, we don't ever put a bully and a victim together, but this would be if we're doing like a conflict resolution. So both of our student advisors are very well versed in conducting those meetings. David says, can you bring electronics? So before school, break time, lunchtime, after school, you can be on your phone. That's between you and your parents. Any instructional time, the phones need to be put away. So we have enough Chromebooks in our school that you don't need your phone for a learning device. So if you're at school, you can go ahead and just keep those put away. So some of the parents, you really, really have to make a decision about if it's appropriate for your child to have a smart phone device. I will tell you straight up that Snapchat is the devil, and a lot of trouble comes around for that. So my daughter is in 5th grade. She'll be coming here as a 6th grade, and she will be sporting the flip phone. When will we find out the teachers and electives that you have? You will find out when you come for back to school night. We'll be passing out the schedules. If you want to be in band or choir or drama, you're in. We have plenty of spots for you. And then once the teachers get their elective rotations set up, you can sign up for those then. Mindless Red said this is pretty great. Thank you, Mindless Red. I have to go. Okay. All right. What do we need to register for classes? We live in district, but currently attend 5th grade out of district. So, Michelle, you want to talk to Shauna Buckman. So that's S. Buckman. I'll type it in the chat. She is our registrar, and she can help you get signed up. And then how do I get to the orientation if I miss the live stream? Well, hopefully the live stream is still going on. So we will be putting up informational videos once a week. I at least want to be doing a teacher interview just so you guys can get an opportunity to meet the teachers. That will be your 6th grade team. And so that will be going out each week, and I'll be restating a lot of this. So I'm going to keep going, looking for other questions. Okay, does anyone have any questions? Okay, can you explain the house and the club again? Sure. So 2 teachers make up a house. One of them, let's give 2 examples. One, let's say Mr. Daniel. Mr. Daniel teaches math and science. He is going to be partnered up with Miss Mulligan. She teaches language arts and social studies. So between them, they have 60 kids. And so if you have Mr. Daniel for math, you have Mrs. Mulligan for English. If you have Mrs. Mulligan for social studies, you have Mr. Daniel for science. And you'll be swapping between their rooms throughout the day. So that's your house, that's your homeroom. Wherever you start on your your first period, that's your homeroom teacher. She or he is the one that's responsible for you. In addition to that, you also have your elective teachers and your PE teacher. What date is back to school night? If we start school on a regular time, it'll be that first week. I believe we start on a Thursday. We're looking at having back to school night on that Tuesday or Wednesday. But once again, we'll get all of this finalized once we can finish negotiations. I think they mean that they can view this in live stream afterwards. I hope so too. I hit record. So we're all trying this, and hopefully this is not the only way that I get to have these meetings, but I do have to say this is pretty cool. All right. Do we see, I'll give maybe about 10-20 more seconds to see if any other questions pop up, and then we'll go ahead and wrap this up. I don't think I explained what a club is. Clubs are after-school programs, so Mrs. Bryant will be doing leadership as a club, meaning it doesn't count as one of your electives, and then it happens outside of the school day. Are you sharing the house pairs, for example? You just said Daniels Mulligan are paired. What are the other pairs? So you have Daniels Mulligan, you have Teichman and Frazier, and then Gonzalez and a teacher to be named later that still needs to be hired or transferred from another school. We missed the first part. Okay, you guys are answering your own questions. Good job, chat room. Is there still flex? There's still flex in 7th and 8th grade, but the way that we're doing flex in 6th grade is we're making it optional in the afternoon from 3 to 3:30. And so you can either go home at 3 or you can stick around and get additional support either in the library or make arrangements with your teacher during their prep time. But 7th grade and 8th grade, it's still a regular time where you get a flex pass or you get to choose where you get to go. Can you list the code again for the leadership in the Google Classroom? Thank you. I think Leslie, you just have to scroll back up through the chat and it should still be there. And it's WKNJ. WKJNF6. Nope, WKJNJF6. All right, great presentation, Mr. McLean. Oh, he is soon to be a parent / teacher at our school. And then can you walk home? Yeah, David, you can walk home. So when the bell rings at 3 o'clock, if you're waiting for the bus, you're going to need to go to the library. Otherwise, if you're going to the Boys and Girls Club, or you're walking home, or riding your bike, or your skateboard, then you would just exit the campus. But if you're staying around campus, you need to be with us in the library, or you need to go home. There won't be like hanging out in the front of the school for half an hour if you have like an older brother or sister. Crystal's asking, what is the Shauna Buckman? She's the registrar. So if you need to register for school, you can contact her and she can help you get that going. So you can take this opportunity to go ahead and subscribe to this channel. This is where I put all of the videos where you can get information for what's going on this year. And then I'll be doing, as I said, a special series of videos just for the incoming 6th graders to get you guys caught up, because your information is so much different than what we're doing for everyone else. Mr. McLean's the teacher of the year. He is the teacher of the year. He was elected by his peers to represent us. So we're very proud of Mr. McLean. What date do you have to register by? If you're a Windsor resident, I mean, you can technically show up whenever, but I would definitely recommend that you do it sooner rather than later, because we're already filling classes. All right. When do we get our schedule? It'll be finalized the week before school starts, so we'll distribute schedules, and then we'll have the back to school night. And then, all right, that worked. Thank you. Okay, so we'll do about 10 more seconds to see if any more questions come up, and then we'll go ahead and end the stream. Thank you so much for attending this. We will try to get out as much information as you can. If you know anyone who didn't get a chance to see this because they don't speak English, they can contact, we have our parent liaison. I'll type that in the chat. It's Susie Loza at wusd.org. She can help them out with anything. And then our assistant principal, who is also bilingual, or if you need any information about 504 plans, she's the one that handles those. That's Carol Ballard. And we're going to go ahead and put Jackson Gaming in a timeout for keeping on spamming me with please subscribe. All right, is the house going to be there for 8th? So the way the 8th grade is, there's 2 core teachers. So you're kind of like a house just because there's just 2 teachers per subject area. All right, thanks. Welcome back. When is the back to school night? Once again, it's going to be on the week before school starts. So we start on a Tuesday, we start on a Thursday. We're looking at having back to school night on that Tuesday or Wednesday. All right, everyone. So I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. And I'll put my email in. If you need anything, please let me know. I promise you, my secretary will definitely get back to you within 24 hours. If you need something directly from me, just be explicit in the email, and I'll respond back. So thank you, everybody, and I'm excited about next year. However it looks, we've got this. We will be ready for this, and we will meet this moment because we always do. Thank you.